Oftentimes, we see how the exploitation of rap influences some of the artists involved, so we need hip hop to call its bluff. Numerous times on this show, you have heard me give insight on the difference between rap and hip hop, and truth be told, I can express it differently every time. Thankfully, though, I am able to use this platform to point to different examples of the ways that difference comes to light. And today, I'll be using Wale's Golden Salvation off his 2013 album The Gifted as an example of hip-hop calling rap's bluff, in which the DMV star uses faith to confront the glitz and glamour often promoted through rap. Wale questions rappers and even listeners to reflect on what's important. True peace that's found in one's faith, or the fickle form of peace that can come through the latest fashion trend or who has the most blingage. Being that he's one of my favorite MCs, I've been wanting to showcase Wale's brilliance on H2DG since I started. I wasn't sure if it should be an album review, and I could never decide what song I should break down for you. Yet whole time, especially knowing what I'm about, right, it was right in front of me. And so today we're going to analyze how Wale did what hip-hop does best. Remain authentic and challenge the status quo while inspiring a generation in the process.
Welcome to Hip to the Games, the podcast for you, the basketball junkie and the hip-hop head. I'm your host, Desmond, and I too have had hoop dreams and enjoy the beautiful genre of hip-hop and its history. Together, we will enjoy some of the greatest albums, songs, artists, players, moments, teams, and so much more, while even mixing the two on occasion, all in my hope that you remember why you love both or either of these to begin with. You'll soon understand that Hip to the Games is more than just a podcast, it's a lifestyle. And if you were looking for a platform that combines both basketball and hip-hop, you've come to the right place.
Welcome to another episode of Hip to the Games. All right, I am just about recovered from a bout with the flu, so after an extra week off, I am happy to be back with you today. I'm still inching towards 100%, so please bear with me. If you hear me still sound like a hybrid of Lil Wayne and Humpty Hump, okay, I think more now these days I'm sounding closer to Humpty. But either way, please bear with me, and as I have a great show for you today. Shout out to you if you are a loyal listener and are indeed hip to the games. Whether you are listening on your favorite platform or watching on YouTube right now, I sincerely thank you for all your support. And if you do happen to be new to the H2DG family, welcome. I am happy to have you here. If throughout this episode you do like what you're hearing, be sure to hit that subscribe button or follow button on whatever platform you're listening to or watching on to stay tapped in with all things hip to the games. And before we get into our episode today, you already know the drill. If you've been here before, I got to get my pregame shout outs out the way. Okay, the first one always goes to the creative director, Jesus Christ, for another H2DG episode, as it's always a blessing to get in front of this microphone and do what he's placed in my heart to do. And especially after being sick, very thankful for health and all of those things as well. And the second one goes to my 19 Media Group family for the opportunity to represent the home team. All right, you see that blue and white logo sitting in the corner every episode. You see it on the audio platforms next to the logo. That's the home team, man. So be sure to follow 19M Group on Twitter, 19 Media Group on Instagram, and YouTube to follow everything going on with the network, as we do have such a great group of passionate independent podcasters with shows around sports, music, culture, education. And I'm sure you can find another teammate of mine to support, not just me, but I really do have some talented teammates, whether it's through likes, comments, reposts, listens, buying merch. Any kind of support is seen and appreciated and felt. And of course, given that this episode is an H2DG breakdown, you should know that I do keep it clean over here. All right, if you've been here before, you know my values by now. I really try to keep a clean show, so you will hear me censor curse words and even reword lines as I try my best to avoid those sexual innuendos, vulgarity, just anything that ain't clean. But you better believe, you better ask somebody, you will leave with a smile or a laugh or simply a reminder of why you love this beautiful thing we call hip-hop in the first place, okay? H2DG is definitely going to keep it hip-hop while I do that. So with all that out the way, get ready to get into some personal and artist background of Golden Salvation by DC/Maryland's own Wale. But first, here's a reminder of how you can win big thanks to H2DG's latest sponsor. Basketball season is heating up, and PrizePicks is the best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on PrizePicks. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed when you use the promo code CLNS. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts and is available in more than 30 states, including California, Texas, Georgia, and Florida. PrizePicks is truly the best way to win real money with all the various opportunities to play and collect your winnings. Due to the enormous selection of players and stat types available, we can mix and match our playing strategies based on personal preferences. I might take Nikola Jokic for more than 8 assists and Donovan Mitchell for more than 25 points. Do you think Steph Curry will get more than 5 3-pointers next week? Giannis maybe for more than 35 points? Cook up hot takes with your friends and win real money this basketball season when you and your crew run your game on PrizePicks. And for those who love a quick win, PrizePicks is the way to go. You can make your picks and submit your entry in less than 60 seconds. So what are you waiting for? Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Remember, with PrizePicks, it's as simple as picking more or picking less. And again, that's promo code CLNS to get $50 after you play your first $5 lineup. Hip to the Games is rocking with PrizePicks, and you should too. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, so I've been very vocal of my fandom and admiration for Wale, often to the point where it bothers me nowadays that every conversation around him seems to revolve around two opinions. One, I miss the old Wale. What happened? And number two, it's a shame how the industry did Wale. He's so underrated. And those things can be true, but like if you think about what he's been doing, even before his recent Every Blue Moon tour, right, where he played an equal amount of hits and even took the time to perform songs that like his real fans would know, hidden gems. He was seemingly off the grid before that, which if you are a fan of Wale, that comes as no surprise, right? As he always expressed how he was an introvert at heart. And sure, would it be nice to see Wale as often as we see and hear from his peers like Kendrick and J. Cole? Absolutely. Because we know he possesses just as much skill, creativity, and talent as those guys. Yeah, it was unfortunate to see a guy with that blend of skill and talent not be as big as he could have been. Whether it was the industry or even how he might have gotten his own way in that regard. But I think it's a lot like what we see and hear in the NBA now, right? Like, we've been so fortunate to see a Michael Jordan, a Kobe Bryant, a LeBron James. We want and darn near expect everybody to be like that. And that's just not realistic. The beauty of this life is in our uniqueness and our individuality. And this is why some fans can't enjoy the game because they're always nitpicking. As great as LeBron is, people are always going to mention that he didn't catch Jordan's 6 rings despite having more finals appearances to do so. As great as Kevin Durant is, right? People are always going to bring up July 4th, 2016 and call his rings fake, right? People try to invalidate Chris Paul's entire career simply because he was never a champion. And don't get me started with even these modern day all-star players that we have like Paul George and DeMar DeRozan, right? Guys who are getting older, but like they still themselves had dream-like careers, but they'll still receive hate because they weren't carbon copies of their idol Kobe Bryant. Like this whole, you gotta be 1A tier to be respected, just it makes my butt itch and is really why Hip to the Games exists. And I believe Wale has suffered from a lot of the same conversations. People get so caught up in the what ifs that they let the what is pass them by. So I think that's why I chose to break down Golden Salvation for today's episode. Because sure, I could have broke down his breakout Nike boots, right? Which nods to Wale's sneakerhead personality, right? We would have had a great conversation about that. I could have picked another favorite of mine in New Soul off his Back to the Future mixtape, right? Real Wale fans know about that mixtape. Or even the beloved Beautiful Bliss, right? Which features J. Cole, but it wouldn't have gave Wale his solo shine. So, I'm sitting and I'm thinking, what song would equally showcase Wale's values, his songwriting skills, his authenticity, and his lyrical gifts all in one? And while I'm sure there are plenty of other songs that would have fit great, right? There were a lot of songs that I was thinking of. To me, Golden Salvation was a no-brainer, as it checked all these boxes. I mentioned earlier that Wale was always more of an introvert, and it shows itself when you realize how introspective his projects, especially his studio albums, tend to be, right? For examples, in Ambition, we hear Wale's approach as he chases his dreams. For the album About Nothing, Wale expressed numerous times how personal that album was to him. And even in the 2019 Wow That's Crazy album, we hear him detail how he felt it was hard for him to find and keep a genuine love life, right? And especially, I think he even had some songs where he kind of touched on, maybe not fully, but kind of touched on fatherhood. And, even in interviews, he was open about how he felt like he couldn't be the father to his daughter that he always wanted to be because of the stuff that he has to work on in his own life. So Wale has been so incredibly personal, with his fans. So as I think back to where he was in 2013 when he dropped The Gifted, it was clear that there was one main idea in mind for Wale. What does it mean to be gifted? Right? What does that come with? It comes with a lot of things. And one reason I love that album is because he tackles that question in all of those ways, right? Big and small. There's the self-explanatory Curse of the Gifted, right? You have 88 where Wale says, I cop threes, I cop Jordan threes for the whole team, as if you use your gift well enough, you may very well amass that kind of money to cop Jordans for your whole squad, right? There's even Black Heroes where Wale wrestles with how, especially in rap, it's easy to shed light on a negative way to make it, essentially pointing out how he aims to be an actual kind of hero for the black youth. So when you hear Golden Salvation, you'll quickly notice how Wale plays on the value of a Jesus piece chain, right? Which, especially at that time, was something that became very popular among rappers, to the point where he noticed, right? Like, everybody gets famous and they cop this chain because it's the cool thing to do. But do they really know and care about what it represents? Obviously, we'll get deeper into this later, but I bring it up now to show just how Wale looked into the idea of being gifted and really the kind of thought and detail he puts into his artistry. Now, there were a lot of producers featured on The Gifted, but for Golden Salvation, it was produced by Lee Major, who did a lot with the MMG guys, obviously Rick Ross, Wale, Meek, but also worked with guys like Fat Joe, Jeezy, Ace Hood, Lil Wayne, and even Jay-Z. And what Lee Major did on this song was simple. He created hip-hop gospel. The instrumental features a choir and a piano that are very reminiscent of Sunday morning service, right? And this powerful drum that echoes off the walls of the church, ultimately giving Wale the perfect canvas to point rappers and fans like us to who, capital W, who really matters in this thing called life, no matter how glamorous theirs might be. And if you've been here long enough, you know that there's nothing like a hip hop song that has an underlying message or call to action that goes much beyond the music itself. So without further ado, I think that is some solid background info now, and we can get into the breakdown of Golden Salvation, the reflective yet challenging song by Wale.
I mean, if you take those lyrics and you pull them away from the music and you put them up on the wall somewhere and someone had to look at them, they would say, well, this is genius. This is genius work.
So as the beat starts, we hear audio from whom we can presume is a preacher, which actually becomes more evident when you watch the music video, as Wale uses this to reveal off rip, again, capital W, who this song is really about and what the intentions are. And additionally, I thought it was a nice touch that this preacher has an accent, right? Which I think nods to Wale's Nigerian roots. But we hear him say, pray, praises, give thanks to the Father, holy water, right? And then just before Wale's first of 2 verses, he utters the phrase that eventually serves as the hook throughout the song and is really the central theme of the entire song. Jesus peace. But don't nobody want to know Jesus peace. No. Listen, man, I've heard a lot of Wale bars. There are a few in this very song, plenty in this song, but few hit me the way this one hits me. Jesus peace, but don't nobody want to know Jesus peace, right? Remember what we went over in the intro, the idea of having a Jesus peace chain. Wale addresses it straight up, calling a lot of rappers bluff. Oh, you want to rock the Jesus piece. Okay. Yet, you don't even bother to know the peace of Jesus, right? He's playing with homonyms there. Great example of wordplay. And then, and I think it was funny, even that alone ties into church, right? A lot of church verbiage, because Jesus spoke in parables throughout the Bible. And so it gave birth to generations of pastors and preachers who do the same, right? You'll hear me joke all the time. Hip hop and rap, the art of rap, exists because Jesus was doing it in his day. A lot of parables and entendres, right? And, you know, like I said, we hear a lot of pastors do that same thing. We hear phrases like pit to the platform. There was even the preacher that used Kendrick's Not Like Us to express the difference between the righteous and the non-righteous path, right? They not like us, you know. Wale does that thing here, right? And can't you just imagine a pastor with the organ behind him, like, you say you want to know Jesus' peace, but you don't know Jesus' peace. You know what I mean? Like, you could just envision that kind of moment. So I thought this line was genius in various ways. But now that this has been established, Wale elaborates on the theme as he starts his first verse, speaking from the perspective of Jesus himself. Brothers use me to shine. I've been helping you stunt. Look, why these rapping dudes ain't hit me in months? I don't ask for too much. Covered in VVS's. Women gonna play you closer, and them hungry jokers gonna try to test you. So out the gate, this is incredible penmanship from Wale, because that first line might even be a double entendre. I could be reaching. Again, I do this time to time on these breakdowns just to get our minds thinking. But that could even be a double entendre, because I feel like as Jesus, he is saying, dudes essentially use me, right? This chain as a way to draw attention to themselves. My chain is helping you stunt. You're using my image to stunt. But I think it even details like the come up, right? Like, you use me on your climb to the top, but once you get there, you stop talking to me, which kind of reveals itself in that next line. Again, could be a reach, but it's just something I thought about as I was following along with the lyrics. Additionally, I love the human element Wale brings to Jesus by simply saying, why you ain't talked to me in months? I don't ask for much. And keep in mind, while you using me, the wrong women are going to be drawn to you, and the jealous dudes will emerge as well. And I think even that's a deeper lesson. Again, it's not just the chain. You can even use Christianity in itself to like get women, right? I'm sure there are many dudes out there, and probably even women out there, who are making it cool as if they follow God because they're impressed with a particular, person trying to impress them, right? The lines, there's so many layers to this song. It's not even just the surface level stuff. You can take it deeper. And I thought Wale did a great job embodying Jesus's character, because Jesus, he cares for us, right? He cares for our well-being. And that means he doesn't mind checking our motives behind our actions, right? So he's not afraid to ask, hey, like, why ain't you hit me up in months? It's been a minute since you read your Bible. It's been a minute since you sat in quiet time with me. It's a minute since you genuinely prayed. Like, what's up? He's not checking you to be like mean, but he's checking you because as somebody that cares for you, like, yo, I want to spend time with you. Like, what's up? I thought that was brilliant from Wale. Again, if you're going to speak It's similar to what I said about DMX when we reviewed his album way back when. When you rap from the perspective of Jesus, it's very imperative that you recognize his character, because if you can put his character into the form of your music, you're going to impact even more people than you would even imagine. So you can never just rap as Jesus. It's a credit to artists like Wale and DMX who know Jesus, who know his character, that they're able to rap this way from his perspective in genuine fashion. That is something I'll always appreciate. Like I said, and I think even this general idea goes beyond just rappers, right? We do this often, even if we don't have a Jesus piece chain, right? And even for me, I'm going to be 100 with you. I know I sit up here and I try to give God the thanks every chance I get. But I have my moments where my faith is low. My discipline is low. I ain't been in my Bible in weeks. My prayers get shorter. Yeah, I ain't going to be fake with you. I'm sure Jesus wants to know why I ain't been talking much to him either. So while Wale establishes the theme and target audience for his song, he simultaneously brings that universal element as well, right? The best artists know how to talk to their target audience while keeping that door open for listeners who don't fit it, and Wale does that here. He then continues rapping from the perspective of Jesus. Now they bumping your record, your confidence through the roof. Still you show no respect, kid. The good book said praise, but you so stuck in your ways, you got my image appraised. Man, if this ain't facts, how many times do we see rappers get their big break, right? Start to feel themselves, and as a result, forget, capital W, who is in charge here? The Bible said praise, but you so stuck in your ways, you got my image appraised. Now, this is a great word choice by Wale, because obviously there's the root word of praise, right? The root word of praise is existent without making the bars sound dull or redundant, right? You always got to be careful when you're writing and when you're rapping and you're performing, when you use similar words like that, or you even use the same word in two lines, consecutive lines, because it can dull your overall performance. But see, Wale, because it carries so much meaning behind it, he can get away with that, right? Because additionally, the meaning of appraise is often used when determining the value of jewelry. So it's even greater word choice, not just on some rapper songwriting, but on some storytelling, right? If I'm going to talk about Jesus in the form of a Jesus piece necklace, I'm going to use words that have to do with jewelry. Brilliant stuff, right? And so Wale is saying here, the good book, right? The Bible, it says praise. It does. But you're so stuck in your ways. You're so stuck in your patterns. You're so stuck in this limelight. You got my image, or this chain, devalued, if you will. But again, I think even that can be a double entendre in a sense, because while that is a direct reference to the jewelry, it can also be a reference to the character of the rapper or the person with it, right? You have the opportunity to represent me in a way that goes way beyond the chain, and you choose not to. Again, a lot of layers to this song if you're really paying attention. Hopefully, I'm here to help with that. Wale continues. While you sinning, I wait. Fornicating with women, I sat right there on your table. Don't bow your head for grace, though I'm keeping you graceful. Brothers was born to cheat, though I question who faithful. So some interesting yet truthful lines from Wale here. Because in this small section, there is a underlying theme of Jesus's grace, right? For example, Wale references Jesus's patience with us in the middle of sin, right? Even in the middle of sin, he's a patient, loving God. He's a patient, loving Father, and how he's present even when we don't make good choices, and how our flesh has been weak since the fall of Adam and Eve. I think that specifically is what he means when he says brothers was born to cheat, though I question who's faithful, right? Obviously, we weren't born to be unfaithful, but from the moment Adam and Eve weren't faithful to God's commands, we inherited that sinful nature. And I think that is the deeper element of Wale's lyrics here. But in a nutshell, from Jesus' perspective, Wale questions the loyalty of those who may claim to know Jesus. And then this idea continues as we get closer to the end of verse 1, where Wale/Jesus, that challenge seems to get more and more intense. Fast for me, no. Blast for me, though. Rap to it so it racks up to match up with me, froze. This is another elite example of Wale's pen. Fast for me, no. Blast for me, though. Wait a minute. Fast for me, no. Blast for me, though. Oh. Wait a minute, Wale. See, I always love that line, but get this. Even after all these years of listening to this song, I didn't even catch that he was also saying, fast for me, no, blast for me, though. I always caught the blasphemy part of how that sounds, right? Fast for me, no, blast for me, though. But to break it down and it's actually blast for me, like, bruh, the genius work of Wale, man. Double M genius indeed. To essentially turn a phrase into a homonym, come on, man, that's different. And so there's so many layers to this now because of that, right? Again, from Jesus's perspective, Wale questions the motives of these rappers who typically rock a Jesus piece for show. Oh, okay, you won't fast for me, right? And traditionally, fasting is giving up things to get closer to God, essentially, right? So you won't give up some things to get closer to me, but you will blast for me. You will kill somebody. You will do something that will keep you distant from me over this chain, Jesus piece chain, over me. You'll blast for me, right? With my image on it. Gotcha. Okay. And even this idea, right? While Wale didn't say it explicitly, but in terms of referencing blasphemy, some of y'all rappers will blaspheme my name and still get on stage with said Jesus piece chain and even proceed to thank me at these award shows. Rapping about stuff that if you knew me for real, if you knew my character for real, you wouldn't even partake in those things. But because you think you got the hit and the money and the fame, it's me, the one that's blessing you. Aha. You could just see God chuckling at that, right? And that's essentially what that next line means, right? Rap foolishness, make the money, get the chain, yet don't represent anything that the chain should truly represent. Very unfortunate stuff. And that's why Jesus told us, we will know them by their fruit. He didn't say we will know them by their golden calf. He didn't say we will know them by their idolatry. He didn't say we will know them by their fakeness. He said we will know them by the fruits that they carry. If the fruit that they carry matches the fruit that I carried and the fruit that I describe in this word and that so many of my disciples describe in this word, then it's real. If it doesn't match that fruit, simple math, it ain't me. Right? And even on a deeper level, right? We will know them by their fruit, not their chain. So, like I said, Wale ends this first verse by continuing to hit the target audience of ignorant rappers with more hard-hitting truths. How can a diamond supersede my wisdom? I seen a reverend with 5 of me as he read his scripture. This is Bible readings to people with malice intentions. You silly gitwits seen a Aki with a crucifix pendant. With a Cuban attached on a secular scene, I died for you all. Now brothers die over me. Woo, Wale. Many rappers have expressed the truth in that last line, right? I died for you all. Now brothers die over me. And I immediately think of the story that J. Cole told on Punching the Clock, I believe it was, off the off season, right? Told him to come off his chain for trying to floss, died over a cross just like the start of Christianity, right? That story was about somebody that got killed because of their chain, right? While they mentioned the same idea years prior to that song in Golden Salvation. Jesus died for all of us, and now dudes die over him, but not in the way he described in the Bible, right? Jesus made it known before his crucifixion, like, yo, in the last days, they're going to hate you because you love me. For whoever loses his life for me shall gain it, right? Because there's no reward like the kingdom of heaven, right? I'm paraphrasing, but you can see where Jesus's heart is, right? If you're going to die for me, let it be with honor and loyalty, not merely over some chain, which is no different than a golden calf. So additionally, Wale continues to speak from Jesus's perspective. How can a Jesus piece, how can a diamond mean more than my wisdom, than actual wisdom from my word? Some of these reverends who claim that their hearts are in the right place are rocking the same chains, probably for the same reasons. And then he even poses a question. Do you think Akis, right? Or that's the Middle Eastern word for brothers, right? Do you think they're wearing chains even though it's disrespectful to their religion? Exactly. So why are we doing it? Why can't we carry that same reverence? It's just a deep, deep first verse from Wale. And I think you can already start to see why this song is a longtime favorite of mine. And truly, when I tell you, this was a song that it took years for me to uncover these layers, right? I'm 26 now. This song came out when I was 14 maybe, around there. And I always was gravitated towards the song, but it was literally as 2014, 2015, 2016, I just uncovered all the layers one by one. So it's dope in that regard in terms of evolution. And like I said, I'm really happy to bring it on this platform. The breakdown ain't even over yet. So definitely a hard hitting verse from Wale. And then the hook, right, which again is a repeat of the phrase that started the song, right? Jesus peace. Jesus peace. Jesus peace. But don't nobody want to know Jesus's peace, right? We get to hear similar themes from Wale as he continues to rap from the perspective of Jesus. But before we get into that second verse, if you are enjoying the breakdown so far, here's how you can show some love and extra support to Hip to the Games.
As a fan of Hip to the Games, not only should you show your love for the podcast, but you gotta express your love for basketball and hip hop. With a wide variety of clothing and accessories, there is always a way to show how much the game of basketball and the game of rap means to you. Let everybody know what it means to be hip to the games by clicking the link in the episode's description to cop some merch and represent the H2DG lifestyle.
Welcome back to Hip to the Games, and we're going to pick right back up with Wale's second and final verse on Golden Salvation, where he continues to rap from the perspective of Jesus, challenging rappers' motives and hypocrisy for rocking their jewelry with his image displayed, but also pointing out the ways the gospel of Jesus has gotten commercialized in general. Sierra Leone diamonds, LA to New York got them. If nobody's stores have me, some probably would know about me. Now I pause right here because I really appreciate this line from Wale. I think it's facts. The way I interpreted it was, if people didn't have access to these fickle, materialistic versions of Jesus, they would be forced to find and value him in the real way he was intended to be found and valued. And again, I think there's a bigger picture there of just life in general, too. If we didn't have all these distractions and all these interests that we tend to overvalue, we would all probably have much more genuine and intimate relationships with Jesus in the way he intended us to, right? Even think about it. Imagine if there was no such thing as hip hop. There was no such thing as basketball. I couldn't, play NBA 2K. Like, if I didn't have all these other interests, how much more I would be tapped in with Jesus, right? And not that it's a bad thing to have interests, obviously. Jesus gave us our personalities and the things we're interested in. But it's like, you would think, like Wale said, if there were no such thing as Jesus piece necklaces, how many people would actually seek to pursue Jesus in an authentic way, in a more authentic, genuine way. So definitely something to think about for sure. But moving forward, all over paparazzi, shout out to Murakami. See, they commercialize me. I'm sure there'll be more robberies. Word, new chain swag, get your crew laid fast, or laid down, or not, a ticket next to dad. Now, this is really interesting because obviously Wale is saying how the commercialization of the Jesus piece, the popularity of the Jesus piece necklace, has made it a highly sought after item, right? It's in high demand. So, of course, that's going to lead to more people doing anything to get one for themselves, especially in the streets. Oh, he got a Jesus piece. I got to get that. And I don't mean getting my own. I got to get that one, right? But, I really thought that last line was interesting. As if we listen from the perspective of Jesus, he says, new chain swag, get your crew laid fast. Or laid down, essentially laid down yourself, or not a ticket next to dad. And it made me wonder, when he says that, is Wale just playing on death? Like, is he playing on death still? Because, it just brings the point home further with the continued connections to Jesus, right? Or laid down or not a ticket next to dad. If he's rapping from Jesus' perspective, why did he say the word dad? Like, if you keep playing, you gonna have a ticket right next to dad or God the Father, right? I couldn't help but notice that as I processed the lyrics. As always, definitely let me know if that's something you picked up on as well, or if you heard something different. I would love to hear it. But I think it certainly fits with that overall rhythm and theme of the song. And then Wale continues his verse with more dope wordplay and biblical connections. And the Bible told you wait on my arrival, but patience was your problem. So get Jacob to come find me. And religion is a style. If not, then why this ish $250,000? No fugazi. See, Jacob tell you that is real. Okay, so see, this is really dope right here. A few things. I think the main idea is still the chase for the chain, right? These people can't even wait for the arrival of Jesus. They just had to have a Jesus piece chain, which is a direct connection to the Israelites who formed the golden calf to worship in the midst of their impatience of the coming of the Messiah in Jesus Christ. Despite different circumstances, the heart postures are the same. Whether a chain or a golden calf, still golden, right? The rappers are no different from the Israelites at their core, and us as human beings. If you really read the Bible, you will see how we are just like the Israelites. And even the mention of Jacob, who in the Bible is seen as like in my words at least, the epitome of how we are connected to God as human beings. Wale connects this by mentioning Jacob the jeweler, right? So a guy who was widely known for making a lot of jewelry for rappers, selling that jewelry. So again, there's that double entendre from Wale as he continues to connect the Bible with the present day and connect these biblical circumstances and stories to literally the jewelry industry, right? Get Jacob to confine me, not just Jacob in the Bible, but Jacob the jeweler, because we're talking about a Jesus piece necklace, right? Really fascinating stuff. So like I said, there's that double entendre, and I think it's such an important element, again, as he's telling this story. It should be a reminder that there's a lot that goes into storytelling and lyricism beyond punchlines when you do it the right way, right? This way is the more fun way, right? Any rapper can make a hit, but very few can execute this the way Wale did in this song. And additionally, Wale challenges the business around religion and ends this section with a fire bar, once again connecting Jacob and the word Israel, right? No fugazi. See Jacob tell you that is real. Incredible. And that's actually what Jacob was renamed in the Bible. His name was changed to Israel. So lots of connections there. But then as Wale starts to end his second verse, he really makes it a point to have Jesus call out the hypocrisy we tend to see in regards to Christianity. Hallelujah. The things you do to be the manure. You never thank me at shows, but you keep me on tour. Sunday services, pastor is the wealthy ones working it, preaching Armageddon while collection plates been circling the room, fear's but a tool, and gospel gone commercial, pray the purpose isn't cruel. So it's about the motives, right? The things people will do to be considered the ish, right? Or manure, right? Pay an arm and a leg for the Jesus piece, kill for it, etc. And even another aspect of what I mentioned earlier, people get on these stages and these platforms and they don't thank Jesus, but they make sure to keep them around their neck and on the red carpet. They're sure to draw attention to that Jesus on their neck, but they won't do anything. They don't want nothing to do with Jesus in their everyday lives. There are churches out here where the pastor is making all the money and the tithes and such. Those aren't going towards the church. They're going to him. That's how he got that Jesus piece. And in Wale's words, they preach about Armageddon, which is the final battle between good and evil before the day of judgment. Yet they're the ones really doing evil by making sure they get everything from the collection plates, right? They moving shisty, they moving shady, you know? And at this point, with gospel being more commercialized than ever, you know, with mega churches and infomercials, and this was 2013. So think about how even now, how this would be in 2025, you know, with the continued rise of social media and more mega churches and whatnot. Like, all we can do is pray that the purpose behind the commercialization isn't cruel, because best believe it is still a gift. Commercialization can still be a gift. God can certainly use it for good, but that doesn't mean everybody's intentions are good. And that's the tough line that you know, you follow. These ideas continue as Wale uses his last lines of this verse to let Jesus, I think, really lay the hammer down, so to speak. And the workers in the pulpit want their blessings to improve. And they stone me on the cross, and brothers stone me for the oohs and the ahs. Foolish, what am I? Who are y'all? I'm coming down from the sky because brothers keep praying to shine. Look, amen. Ooh, boy, that last line is so cold. So same idea though, right? The pastors want to be blessed. Some ain't going about it the right way though, you know? And then, like I said, that fire line of they stone me on the cross and brothers stone me for the oohs and the ahs. Man, what? They stone me on the cross, but they stone me for the oohs and the ahs. They turned me into a diamond stone, a Jesus piece chain, right? Just for some approval of man. And then the haymaker. I'm coming down from the sky because brothers keep praying to shine. Yo, Wale gets it, man. He gets it. Oh, okay, y'all want to shine? Bet. Let me come back and change this world in ways y'all ain't even bothered to read about yet. You want to shine? Bet. You about to see the brightest shine there ever was, literally. The Bible says the Lord is so bright, we can't even look at him directly. That is such a cold way to end these verses, man, for real. I come from the sky because brothers keep praying to shine. You want to shine that bad? Okay, what if I come down? But see, me coming down means the rapture happens. And if the rapture happens, all this is changed straight up. So that is such a cold line. I mean, Wale really did that justice, man, like speaking from the perspective of Jesus. Like I said, when you know his character and you know his story, you can execute songs like this. But again, we're not done just yet, because even then, after that haymaker, as if we needed a bigger exclamation point, Wale uses this outro of the song to give listeners, I think, time to reflect on the deep message they just heard. So as the instrumental fades out, we hear Wale eventually say, "For the price of fame, what would you do to have him say your name? See, I promised I would never cop another chain, but the alms spent on these VVS's got me in that complex page. For the price of fame. When that Bugatti dropped, my accountant stopped me for a second and said, not today, not today. For the price of fame. For the price of fame, what would you do to have him say your name? It is such a shame." So if you think about it, this is really the first time we hear Wale as himself all song. Because even in the music video, right? The music video is even shot brilliantly because it's from the POV of the Jesus chain. Like, they even put like the kind of diamond glare filter over the video, and you literally get the experience of somebody, like you see life through the Jesus piece chain. So we don't even see Wale towards the end of the music video. And when it's this part of the song. And I think he's pointing to the exact idea he shared in this song, right? Like, he used to be that rapper that needed the flyest chain and the dopest car. So he asks, for the price of fame, what are you willing to pay? And that ain't just monetary. He reveals that the amount he spent on his chain got him something he always wanted, right? A feature in Complex magazine. Because if he wasn't wearing his diamonds, would they have bothered to feature him? But because he looks like he got money and he looks like the stereotypical rapper, like he's successful, it probably looked a little better, right? Just more aesthetically pleasing to have him included. Again, this is what you got to think about as an artist. Are you just trying to fit in with rap and satisfy the corporation? Or are you trying to represent hip hop and reflect and say, you know what? I don't need the chain. My purpose and my gifts will make room for where I'm supposed to be. Will you lose yourself for them to say your name? Or will you maintain integrity and they'll learn to say your name? That is the difference between rap and hip hop. When you hear me speak so passionately about that, that is what I mean. That is why I just can't stand when people get these platforms and they say, oh, so and so, how are you so impactful for hip hop? Are they really hip hop though? Because they got a few hit records? Because they can rock a Jesus Peace chain? Don't get it twisted. And that's why, again, I'm so like passionate about this platform to really display that difference. Like if a lot of these folks can walk around acting like there's no difference between rap and hip hop, but that's cool. If you hip to the games, you'll get to understand that difference. If you tapped in, and obviously, right, there's people that's been tapped in long before I was even born, right? I'm just carrying their torch. So again, that's the difference between hip hop and rap. Are you doing this to satisfy the corporation and those guys in the suits and ties that took hip hop and found a way that they could make money off it? That's what the genre of rap is. But it's always been, don't ever get it twisted, it's always been about hip hop. Don't ever blame rap. Don't ever blame what those guys in the suits and ties do with rap. Don't ever blame the outcome of that on hip hop. The negativity that comes with rap, that wasn't even supposed to be what we was about. I'm getting off course here a little bit. I got a little passionate, but that to me, that is the difference. And Wale establishes that, just like I said in the intro, he challenged the status quo and is really making rappers, especially in 2013. And this is a timeless song, so it can still reach rappers in a way that challenges them and helps them see the difference between rap and hip hop, and really pick a side. If you're going to pick the rap side, cool. You know, get your money. It's fair, but it ain't integral. It ain't honest. It ain't, you know, I don't respect that as much. That's the difference between hip hop and rap. And after that outro, that brings us to the end of the breakdown of Golden Salvation by Wale. This song has many layers to it. There's the obvious one. You know, why rock a Jesus piece if you don't care to know Jesus' peace? But then there are even more, right? Like, evaluate your values. You know, like I was just saying, what do you make music for? Who do you make music for? Do you express your love for God genuinely, or is it all for show? Are you in this for impact, or are you in this for the money? Whether that's music, preaching, whatever it is. Like, I love how this song has a main idea at its core, but as you listen to it, it makes you ponder the answers to other questions as well. And then obviously there's the nerdy stuff that we like, right? Wale has so many entendres and punchlines and displays of elite wordplay that I certainly hope reminded you or introduced you to his genius as an MC. Even the title of this song makes so much sense now, right? Golden Salvation. Instead of the golden calf, right? Rappers turned it into a gold chain. They look for salvation in everything but the actual source of salvation due to impatience. So it ain't just a chain. It's quite literally golden salvation. I look for this to be my savior. Wow, man. That's deep to think about. As always, I hope this breakdown educated you and challenged you all at the same time. I hope it was fun. You know, whether it challenged you as a human being or an inspiring artist. I hope it reminded you to check your motives, check your values. Maybe you're like me and it even just checked you as if to say, yeah, you should probably get back in your Bible, kid. You know, if you're watching on YouTube, please do me a favor and comment what you learned or what stood out to you about this song, or even Wale himself. I would love to hear it. And as always, I hope you give this song a listen, whether it's the first time or the 1,000,000th time. I appreciate you giving me, of all people, a listen and taking the time out your day to hear some of my thoughts on hip hop's finest work. Once again, I appreciate you bearing with me as I'm recovering from my illness. Like I said, sounding a lot more like Lil Wayne / Humpty Hump, but I think we made it through. I encourage you to share any thoughts with me, as I'm always around for further discussion on Twitter or IG at Desmond Powell _ if you want to talk some more. Always leave that door open. Here's to another reflection of the God-gifted brilliance of hip-hop's past / present. Shout out to the amazing Wale for challenging the status quo and not being afraid to stand up to rap in the effort to represent hip-hop the way it's supposed to be represented. And of course, here's a huge shout out to you for being hip to the games. And I thank you so much for sticking around for another episode, all for the love of the best combo there is. Peace out, and God bless.
Hope you enjoyed this episode of Hip to the Games, and if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit up the socials at Desmond Powell _ and at Hip to the Games on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok so you don't miss out on the fun. And please follow or subscribe to the show and leave a review on the podcast platform you're on right now, as your support is greatly appreciated.